You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Before this podcast kicks off, let's talk about goals. The greatest goal is a native tree crowdfunding campaign, leaving a legacy for Aotearoa New Zealand as co-host of the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023. Visit treesthatcount.co.nz to donate a native tree for a brighter future.
Football Fever with News Talk ZB's voice of football, Jason Pine and Bonnie Jansen with Trees That Count. Donate a native tree and help us score the greatest goal.
Kia ora, welcome into Football Fever. This is your daily World Cup podcast, and our FIFA Women's World Cup final is locked in.
The referee puts the whistle to our mouth, and England, for the first time in their history, are Women's World Cup finalists.
Yes, they are. It'll be England v Spain Sunday night in Sydney after a captivating, compelling semi-final in front of a packed house at Stadium Australia last night. England eventually winning it 3-1, but what a game. What a game. I'm Jason Pine with the New Zealand Herald's Bonnie Jansen alongside. Your overall thoughts? Is it the right outcome? Did the better team go through?
Hey, Piney, yeah, I think it is the right outcome. England just were amazing. Such professionals, a very, very good team. And to be fair, I wouldn't say Australia played bad. I just think they were outplayed, and England just far too good.
Australia were quite meek in the first half, I thought. I don't know whether that was, heavy-leggedness after the tournament that they've had, whether it was, I don't know, the fact that they were so hyped up and just weren't able to rise to the occasion. England, I thought, bossed the first half. They were deserving leaders at half-time, I thought.
Yeah, they were. And as you said, yeah, Australia didn't look as buzzed up as they have. And it was the first time in the tournament I kind of felt that they weren't riding that wave as they usually have been, and kind of felt the pressure a little bit more. But and at the same time, they had already achieved so much, so I guess they didn't have anything to lose, but it took away the fight a little bit that I think everyone was expecting Australia to have. But again, I wouldn't again say Australia played that horrible. I just think they couldn't play good because England were too strong.
I thought England were excellent, and we'll talk more about who in particular was excellent, but I thought for the majority of the game they were the better side. There were periods, especially in the second half, where Australia did get the upper hand and looked like they were going to make a real game of it, but wasn't to be. The team sheets dropped 90 minutes, obviously, before kick-off. Sam Kerr in the starting lineup. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I remember when you sent me a message all in caps saying Sam Kerr is starting. So in hindsight, the right decision?
Look, after the first half and Australia were just not great at all, I was kind of like, no, they shouldn't have started her. Bring her off the bench in the second half would have been so much more of a threat. But then at the same time, I mean, she needed that time to get into the game, clearly, and she had a much better second half. She obviously scored that incredible goal. But yeah, again, I mean, it's old news now, right? I think it's good she got to play a full game because of, who she is and her injury, and here she is. Yeah,
clearly. I mean, superhuman. She's clearly not 100% with her calf, but she thought, well, it's a World Cup semi-final. If I'm not going to play through a bit of discomfort now, then I never am. England, third time lucky for them. They reached the semi-finals last time and the time before that, losing both of those, but they're into the final for the first time. Ala Toon giving them the lead in the first half. Superb first-time strike into the top corner. She becomes the first England player, male or female, to score in a quarter-final, a semi-final and a final in major tournaments. She scored in the quarters and in the final at the Euros last year, and now in the semi-final here at the World Cup. But as you say, Australia came out in the second half, and after 63 minutes, Sam Kerr with one of the goals of the tournament.
Here's Sam Kerr. She's going to need some support. Kerr running it bright. Kerr with a shot. Oh, I say, that's incredible!
It's just a brilliant goal, isn't it?
It's the goal of the tournament for me, and no one does that but Sam Kerr. And it's the fact that Caitlin Ford was running on her left, completely open and completely available. But Sam Kerr just head down, and she knows what she wants, and she's gone and done it. So, and what a moment for those fans. And I was in the fan zone, and everyone was up and off their seats, and just incredible. And I mean, it's probably, despite the loss, it's something that Sam Kerr can take out of the tournament and Australia.
As you say, you look back at some freeze frames. She gets the ball just inside the England half, so she's effectively on halfway. Runs with the ball, and as you say, Caitlin Ford's looming up outside her. Most of us look up if we're that good and slide it to our left and give her the chance to score. But it just felt as though Sam Kerr had one thing on her mind and one thing only, and
Sam Kerr.
Exactly. She's just absolutely lashed it into the top corner, and just the elation in that moment. I can only imagine what it must have been like inside that stadium when that goes in. Seen footage from the fan zones and everything like that. It's just an explosion of joy, but it felt as though the fairy tale was going to have some more chapters. Did you think the momentum had shifted or shifted after that?
Yes, I did. And then I think Sam Kerr's so smart, and she knew of those opportunities she had, and I guess we'll talk about that. And a lot of people will talk about that missed opportunity from the corner, and Sam Kerr had a half volley, basically 2 meters out from the goal, which she skyrocketed over the net. But, she's so smart and calculated that she knows that Australia should have been in the game from that point, and they missed their opportunity, and you could see her just dwelling on it for so long after the match.
Australia's 10th goal of the tournament. That beats their previous best of 9. They got 9 last time and also in 2007. But I was going to say it'll be their last. It won't, of course. They play the 3rd and 4th place match. So chance for more goals on Saturday night. England, though, retook the lead when Lauren Hemp, the excellent, by the way, Lauren Hemp pounced on a defensive error to make it 2-1. That was really unfortunate, wasn't it, for Ali Carpenter? I'm sure she'll look back, and I don't think she'll be haunted by it necessarily, but, wonder how she didn't get that ball clear.
Yeah, it was poor defending from Ali Carpenter, and with her experience, you would expect better. She plays for Olympic Lyon, who have won multiple titles, but at the same time, she's 21. That's a lot of pressure for a young player playing at a home World Cup in a match that big and with so much at stake. So yeah, it was sloppy defending, and you could argue so was the next goal as well from England. But again, some of these young players for Australia have carried this team to this point. So yeah, you can't define her tournament on that moment.
Yeah, more from the England side in just a sec. As you say, Australia pushed for the equaliser. Sam Kerr with the best of the chances, probably by quite some distance, with that volley that flew wide from a handy position. Tony Gustafsson said afterwards they just weren't ruthless enough.
We had 3 sitters, so to speak, in 82nd, 83rd and 85th minute to score 2-2. And then in 86th minute, 1 ball behind, and it's 3-1 and almost game over.
Yeah, and that's Alicia Russo making sure of the victory late on. She's now scored 7 goals in 12 appearances at major tournaments. She was pretty happy afterwards.
Incredible. I think World Cup final, we've been saying we've dreaming of the semis and things like that, but now this is what it's all about, a World Cup final with this group. Yeah, buzzing. So
England have scored 13 goals at the World Cup. That's their equal best with the 13 they scored in 2019. Lauren Hemp, what a player, just quietly. My God.
Yeah, she was amazing, and I believe she got player of the match, and rightly so. She was very good, and she also is pretty young, I believe. But just that whole England squad, I kind of describe it as a big sister, little sister match, and England were just too good all over the park, and kind of taught Australia, their little sisters, a big lesson last night. But Lauren Hemp, just incredible.
That third goal that Russo scored, I've had a look at it again a few times this morning, and Lauren Hemp picks the ball up and drives forward with it. And then it's the no-look reverse pass.
Deception. Deception.
I know, it's just, to do that after, 88, 89 minutes of running around, she's already scored a goal. She's, looked every inch the best player, as you say, on the park and was rewarded with player of the match. But to do that, and then, all say all Alicia Russo had to do was run onto it and finish. It's still a very tidy finish, but it just feels to me as though, and I said this yesterday, and I don't want to I don't want to reinforce the point that I made yesterday, but England are just growing into this tournament. They've just got better every game.
You're right, and they're peaking at the absolute right time. But we've also talked on this podcast that they're a job done sort of team, and they're always, focused on the task at hand, and they're very professional when they do it. They don't get overexcited, and they're quite a humble team, which I heard from Captain Leah Williamson, who isn't at this tournament because she's done her ACL, but she said the team is actually very humble and they've got no expectations, and you could see that professionalism last night, and just across the park, every player wants to get the job done, and they'll celebrate at the end when they get there. Yeah,
it's a true team effort. Lauren Hemp said as much afterwards.
I just want to be fearless. I want to show what I can show on the world's biggest stage, and I feel like as a group, everyone's brought the best out of me. Everyone's pushing me to try and be better.
Yeah, and obviously they feel they can get better against Spain. We'll have a look at that in a sec. The other player I really liked was Rachel Daly, particularly in the first half. I mean, she's a striker, basically, and she's been stuck out at left back. But the way she played up and down that left-hand side, the way she combined in little triangles, the depth and range of her passing, I thought she was very good as well.
Yeah, so many good little moments from these players, and you could go back and watch that game and watch all their movements off the ball, particularly Ella Toon. I mean, she scored that incredible first goal as well, which was amazing on the side of her foot, but just like even her runs off the ball, and the whole team is just so smart with the way they play, and to be fair, we'll touch on the final, but I think at this point, the two best teams in the competition will be playing in the final on Sunday, and I don't think anyone's been ripped off and gone home when they should still be here. I think we've got a really, really exciting show on our hands.
We do. A worthy final at the end of a terrific World Cup. We'll have a look at it in just a moment on Football Fever.
While this podcast takes a halftime break, let's talk about The Greatest Goal, a crowdfunding campaign leaving a legacy for Aotearoa New Zealand as co-hosts of the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023 by asking fans to donate a native tree. Each native tree costs just $10, and whether you donate one or many, you'll be contributing to amazing restoration projects across Aotearoa. Visit treesthatcount.co.nz to donate a native tree and help us score the greatest goal. Looks like we're ready to kick off the second half.
Football Fever with Jason Pine and Bonnie Jansen with Trees That Count. Donate a native tree and help us score the greatest goal.
Just before we look at prospects for the third place match and the final, a word on England coach Serena Wiegman. She's now reached the final at each of the last two Women's World Cups and the last two Women's Euros, with the Netherlands in 2017 at the Euros and 2019 at the World Cup, and then the Euros last year with England, and obviously the World Cup this year. First coach to have led two different nations to the World Cup final. She's just by daylight the best women's coach on the globe.
Oh, she's incredible, and you hear all those things, and there's not much more you can achieve. It's insane, and yeah, what a leader. I'd love to have a session under her one time. It'd be amazing.
She always looks so calm and so cool and composed and collected. But then I watched her post-match interview last night. And she's getting kind of caught up in it. And I guess it's difficult not to when you've taken a team to the World Cup final and there's 75,000 people there and there's a lot of emotion. But yeah, for the first time, I think the veil almost dropped a little bit on her very calm exterior. She was quickly back into that persona in the post-match media conference proper. But yeah, in that little interview on the sideline a few minutes after the final whistle, she was excited as her players. So Sunday night, England v Spain, the third all-European FIFA Women's World Cup final. 95, Norway played Germany. 2003, Germany played Sweden. What is your early feel on this? Who do you think are favourites?
I think England are slight favourites, just because of the big major tournament history and the Euros last year. But also, as you mentioned, they're peaking at the right time, and they've grown into this tournament, and they've got one more left, and surely they'll hit the peak. And I just think they've proved to be absolute professionals throughout, and know how to get the job done. So that's why I'm swaying slightly towards England.
I had a quick peek at the TAB odds before we hopped on, and it's close, but Spain are favourites.
No.
Yeah, $1.80, and England are paying $1.95. That is as at, late Thursday morning, so that may well change as the weight of money comes in. But I totally expected England to be framed up as the bookies' favourites, but clearly, what Spain have done and the way they've done it has caught the eye. So, who do you think the neutral wants to win?
I think more will be going for England, just because England is so deep and rich in their football history. You have a lot of friends and football friends that just have always backed England. But at the same time, the Spanish fans can be loud. Although they were outnumbered by the Swedish fans at Eden Park the other day. It's a tricky one for sure, but I'd say they'll be more in favour of England, especially with the kind of controversy of the coach and things like that.
Yeah, I think that'll sit as a layer, and will continue to as well. There are still a lot of football fans who are not at all enamoured with what Jorge Vilda has done, and the way he's run this team and all of the backdrop around the players boycotting and the way, he's been authoritarian, over the top of this team. Put that to one side though, and in terms of the way the two teams play, I just feel like Spain will have more ways of hurting England than Australia did last night. Everything kind of seemed to go through Sam Kerr. Hayley Raso had a fairly quiet night. Didn't see a heck of a lot from Caitlin Ford. I thought when Courtney Vine came on, she had a bit of a spark. But you look at Spain and you look at the weaponry available there, and England are going to have to defend better against Spain probably than they did last night.
Oh, it'll be an absolute step up from last night. But I think England are capable of that, and they, they'll be aware of that and respect that. It's just going to be such an exciting match because both teams have, a possession base, and they've, in almost all matches I've played, they've dominated the possession, and they like to have the ball. So when there's two teams exactly like that, it's going to be a battle for sure. And I'm looking forward to that midfield clash, Kira Walsh, Georgia Stanway, and then Alexia Putellas and Bon Mati. It's going to be exciting. Absolutely.
We'll have a decent look at this on our episode of Football Fever on Sunday, the day of the game. What about the third and fourth place playoff? It often is said that this is the game that nobody really wants to play in unless you've really overachieved. And I guess of the two sides, Australia and Sweden, you'd say that Australia have overachieved more than Sweden have. Sweden will still be trying to work out how to get past semi-finals. They've been in 4 of them, and still can't get to the final. Australia, Sweden, third and fourth place playoff Saturday night. I guess the romantic in me says I'd love to see Australia get third. What's your gut feel on this one?
I think Australia will, and I had some colleagues in the office saying that no, they reckon Sweden will get it, but I think Sweden just don't know how to play in these end matches, which is such a shame for them because they're such a talented and organised team, as we've talked about. But Australia really deserve this, and it's a less pressure match than having a final, and it's almost best case scenario for them to really end their tournament on a high and have a good chance of doing so. And so, I hope the fans get around it. I don't doubt they will, but I just hate when these games, these third and fourth playoffs, then the coach starts playing their second picks and they don't start their strong team. I hope they do still take it seriously and start their best starting 11.
Oh, I get the feeling they will. Yeah, I get the feeling they'll.
You reckon?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think they'll both go out there wanting to, because coming third is still coming third. Yeah,
it's a medal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you go back to your federation and you've got a medal, then the resources that get ploughed into the women's game in your country, I think, have a much greater magnitude to them. If you've got something to show for your efforts, I think we can all agree that Australia have overachieved. Sweden, number 3 in the world, you'd expect them on their ranking to get to the semi-finals. So if Sweden were to lose, then you could probably say, well, actually, they've they're below where they should be. But anyway, we'll wait and see what happens on Saturday night in Brisbane for the third and fourth place playoff. Just before we go, total attendance figures at the finals with last night's full house. 1,853,000. That's incredible. It's an average of just under 30,000 per match. So if we get 50,000 in Brisbane, which we will, and 75,000 in Sydney, which we will, that'll be just shy of 2 million fans through the turnstiles. It's an incredible result.
I'm just so proud, and I'm so glad I was proved wrong, and then New Zealand and Australia got behind the tournament. It's, it's so cliche, but it wouldn't have been this exciting if people didn't get around it, and it's just been the talk of the town, hasn't it, the last month? We're not going to know what to do with ourselves, Piney.
We're not. 2 games to go, third and fourth place playoff Saturday night, and the World Cup final on Sunday. Football Fever's going to take a break now until Sunday. We're going to review the third place match and preview the final for you. Bonnie has the Football Fever ticket to the World Cup final, so you're heading over there, I think, Saturday. So when we speak on Sunday, you would have been to the pre-game press conferences, soaked up the atmosphere. So it's quite a big responsibility for our many thousands of podcast listeners. So you think you're up to it?
I got it, guys. I'll get the scoop, I'll get the juice, and bring it back to Football Fever,
Fantastic. Travel safe. We'll talk to you on Sunday, and that fresh episode of Football Fever will drop into your podcast feed just before lunchtime on Sunday. Have an excellent day.
In this post-match review, let's score the greatest goal by donating a native tree to leave a legacy for Aotearoa New Zealand as co-hosts of the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023. Visit treesthatcount.co.nz to donate a native tree for a brighter future.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.